morning, Shetley Jimenez. Good morning, Pauline Buckmeyer from Florida. All the way from Florida is calling me. Brenda Isaac, good morning. Terrence Swan, morning. All set and waiting. Yes, Terrence. Gaylan Jackson, good morning. Carol Myers, morning, Carol. The Real Raga, Brian Jackson, Greg Thomas, good morning. Morning, Anna. Natalie Faria, good morning. Judy King, morning, Diane. Angela Carty, good morning to you as well. Felix Hospitalis, morning, sir. Denise Coggins, Ian Glowden, John Edwards, Ruth Fronton, morning to all of you. Morning, Denise. Freddie Williams, morning. Laverne Brown, Alison Samuel, morning, Alison, morning. Jennifer Dossett, Annette Baird, Philomena Collins, good morning to you guys. Point Commander Sharon. Yes, I forget Eric told me. Right, I have to get in contact with Point Commander Sharon. Denzel Wilson. Rude Trude, morning. Gail Jack, good morning. Marva James, morning to you guys as well. Right, on. Morning, Angie. Rosemary Hadley, morning. Rosemary, remind me, were you the person I met at, was it Don's Roti Shop in Petty Valley some time ago? Rosemary Hadley, I think that was the name. Maria Lyons, good morning. What, David Clark, morning. Mr. Flavor TT, morning. Right, so we will get into it and the other guys will join in. I don't know if we had sent out a promo. Morning, Cynthia. Announcing, well, but we know Thursday is, we usually have the show on Thursday. Sunday, I see that the PNM has is having a special convention on Sunday for the presentation of candidates at the Queen's Park Savannah. It starts at 1 o'clock. So I don't know if I should probably start earlier on Sunday at 10 o'clock or just do the normal time and go head down afterwards. But we will see how that goes. I trust that some of you will be heading down to the Savannah on Sunday as well. So, yeah, election is in full swing. So we will see what happens on Sunday. So a few things. I know. So I started on Tuesday to interrogate the UNC's manifesto, to rubbish it, as it were, to tell you what they are offering as good governance and why it is not good governance and it's just a hodgepodge of nonsense. They just get a group of people to sit down and put together something because they had to create a manifesto. But before I go there, hopefully I'll get to return to that today. But there's a question that I wanted to answer this morning. I see the opposition leader, and there's a clip. Someone sent me a clip, a snippet of a question that she asked on Monday. They told me that the UNC flock sharing this all over the place, and the person wanted me to give them some information with which to respond. But I'll come into that. Before I get to that, let me play this one first, and then yes, a couple things I wanted to touch on before. So I don't know if it is that every time some of these counselors or some of these, whatever to call them, it's not just the counselors, some of the senators, UNC officials. Some of them, it seems, whenever they get an opportunity to speak, the rare opportunity to speak on a platform where Kamala Persad-Bissessar is present, they feel the need to audition for their leader, right? As if to say to her, see me, leader, look. I could be a gutter rat too, just like Anil and Naked. It's not only, they aren't the only ones with gutter rat potential. And I could try and outdo them too. Yeah. So every time Jayanti Lakshmiyal makes a presentation in the Senate, it's always a theatrical performance. And I've said that before. It's always an audition for her leader so that she could, ensure or entrench her position as a senator. They love that. They love that kind of pip. Yeah, I'm Senator, the Honorable Jayanti Lakshmiyal. There's nothing honorable about you, madam. Certainly not about you. You'll be here in the parliament, outside the things that, well, some of the legislation, well, not the legislation, but your exploits in the courthouse, you and Anand, thanks to you and Anand Ramlogan, persons accused of murder can now apply for bail. Yes, that is UNC did that, not PNM. Just need to remind persons of that. Yeah, great Senator Jayanti Lakshmiyal, but they have the loudest voices when it comes to complaining about the state of crime in the country. But ask the supporters, what are your views on the fact that one of your current senators and your former attorney general are the persons responsible for murderers, or rather persons accused of having committed murders, being able to apply for bail? They wouldn't talk about that. They're silent on that. Yeah. And if in the rare occasion that you do get them to speak about it, they'll tell you, yeah, but it's a good thing, because suppose the person innocent. Yeah, that's the logic. The embarrassment on their face, had it been a PNM lawyer or PNM lawyers done that, it'd be a totally different story. But as UNC lawyers do that, and so we need to defend the nonsense. But all they complaining about the state of crime and the country going down and look at crime and home invasion and all this kind of nonsense. Yeah, UNC lawyers did that. Just remember that, right? But what if the person is guilty? And on the balance of probability, more often than not, when someone is held for murder in this country, more often than not, they're guilty, right? When you look at the background, the history, they caught with a firearm in the possession. You still think they're innocent? Yeah, they just happen, just like the Tunapuna candidate. That was a toy. He didn't know it was a real gun. He just happened to have a gun on him, right? That is the caliber of people that they select to represent them. And not just to represent them, because if had he not been caught, and he had gone on to win the seat, which he probably will not. Well, he won't, because they'll have to replace him now. But had he won the seat, he wouldn't only be representing UNC the persons who voted for me to represent the persons in that district who don't support UNC as well. He would have been your councillor. And I am absolutely certain a lot of people in that area knows the individual and what his background is. But let us not forget, I don't know, I haven't heard anything further with respect to his appearance before the magistrate. But he's entitled to apply for bail too, for that offense. Because again, it is the UNC that refuses to support the bail amendment bill that would have seen him behind bars for at least 120 days before he could apply for bail. But yeah, you get caught with a gun. Okay, you go before the magistrate, you get bail, and then you go back out and you get a next gun and continue to do what it is you're doing. So the benefit of the UNC listeners, that is because the party that you support wants statistics. We want to see how many people have been arrested under that legislation before we give support. And based on what we are seeing here, according to Munilal, it's reading like a binary card, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. Yeah. So because of that, it ain't working. The law not working. So you only seeing it from the punitive side. How many people have been arrested under this law, but not how many people have opted not to engage in criminal activities because of the fear of being incarcerated for 120 days at least without bail. So we're not looking at the deterrent effect of the law. Let's just look at the punitive impact. Yeah? And that is UNC logic for you. The government in waiting. Well, for those of you who may not have had the benefit of listening, and I don't know if it is that, they're just hard-headed. Because there was a letter sent by the Telecommunications Authority a couple of weeks ago to Radio and TV Jagrati for the language of Barry Padarat on the Monday Night Forum. They could change the name to report if they want. We call it what it is, Monday Night Forum, because there's wrong behavior every week. So apparently they didn't learn their lesson where Jagrati warned them, look, Tata sent us this letter and you are jeopardizing our license based on the filthy language that some of your speakers are using, in this case Barry Padarat referring to the Prime Minister as a lazy son of a on multiple occasions. Well, I see one of their former councillors decided that he needed to audition for Mrs. Prasad Bisasa on Monday night too. Yeah? You want to behave? Look, I could be her Anil. My mouth nasty too. I have got rat potential as well. Yeah? For the benefit of the leader. So, see me. So when 2025 come around, if it is that I want to go up for a seat, you know me, right? And this is how they audition. You wouldn't see this type of behavior on a PNM platform. But they like to talk about Dr. Rowley is a Wajang and he's a region bull and all the things that he says and so on. Let me play this guy for you. So let me get it here. Where is it? So. Where's this thing? Why is this not coming up? Yes. You save these things and I don't know why it is they don't behave. So let me just pull this up here. I know it. Right.
People who can't come before UNC screening committee, they come and put them in the front page of the Guardian, the Express, or the Newsdip. Brothers and sisters, the PNM for real? These people for real? If you're not good for the UNC, you're definitely real good for the PNM. Let her go home. Go home. Go home. This is my home. This is my house. And Kamala is my leader. I ain't going nowhere. And I want to say it very openly. My integrity, my character, my morals, my values have no blasted price tag. I ain't wearing no price tag. Let them fellas sell yourself cheap for the cheapest bouquet of flowers holding only thorns and berries in it. No roses, nothing. The cheapest bouquet of flowers is the berries the one that they're holding. I see one of them on a press conference. The only person who was missing in that room was the jackass himself. They give him a pin like this, not a Trinidad and Tobago flag, not a UNC. They give him a bally. Say, you know the right now? When I used to go to them churn party, I used to pin the tail on the donkey.
Yeah, that's one of the former councillors, Amit Mahabir, I think is his name, auditioning for his leader. You realize when he said what he said in reference to the Prime Minister, referring to the Prime Minister as a jackass, the crowd, he didn't really get the response he was getting from he was hoping to get. It's like, okay, that was they're supposed to clap for that. Remember, there's a comedian by the name of John Agitation, and he given a joke, and all you're supposed to clap for that, you ain't get no clap. I wonder why. Probably because the audience realize, you're jeopardizing the people radio station and TV station. And this is the only place really, the only television station on which the program could be carried live. Yeah. So I expect to see another letter very soon being sent to the UNC from Jagrati TV, letting them know that they will no longer be carrying their Monday Night Forum meetings. Yeah? But that type of gutter rat behavior, I see one. What is only? Only. What is only, my friend? It's O-N, not you, only. Yeah, but that's what they offer you as a counselor. Yeah? So he trying to top Anil and whatnot. He was equally disgusting on Monday night. Equally disgusting. In his usual fashion, unusual form. No surprise there. Right? But that is UNC. That is the caliber that they impressed with. That. Mm-hmm. You ain't gonna hear that kind of behavior on a PNM platform. Right? They can say what it is they want. Or what they want. You wouldn't hear that. But anyway. So I see the clown from Oropuch, East, Rudal Munilal. Again, usual fashion, he's the next one. The few occasions that he gets to speak on the platform as well. And, I wonder when I listen to some of these guys, if it is every week they have a caucus meeting, to see who could come up with the most dotish, outlandish, ridiculous lie to put out in the public domain. So 2 weeks ago, we heard the PNM plans to bring out inheritance tax. The political leader come with that. I am calling on the Minister of Finance to tell us, is this government going to implement an inheritance tax? The minister tell you no. I don't know how else he could tell you no. She even accept to walk up and hit you, slap in your face and say no. But what is the point of asking and calling on the minister to tell you if when he tells you, you're still promoting the lie? Because you have nothing else to talk about. And you realize the only way that you could stir up dissent in your camp and get your supporters to really vote for you is to lie on the government. It's amazing. Some people messaging me and telling me about, UNC like they have support. Why? Support for what? That the UNC has to draw support not from anything that they have done in the last 8 years or so to show the population that they have learned from their wicked and nasty ways. They have done nothing in the last 8 years to show that they are a reformed party. In fact, all they have done in the last 8 years, to my mind, is to demonstrate that they can be nasty, that they are, truly a basket of deplorables, and should never serve in any capacity, official capacity in this country again. So they are hitching their wagon to public dissent, public dissatisfaction in some way or another with the government to get votes. But nobody going to the point and say, I'm going to vote for the UNC because the UNC will do this and the UNC will do that. No, it's because I've vexed with Rowley and I ain't like Imbud because Imbud raised gas 5 times or 6 times. And I vexed because Al-Rawi family collecting rental income. Okay, you're vexed because of that. But it wasn't vexed between 2010 to 2015 when his family's building was being rented and never used. You ain't vexed about that. Yeah, but you're vexed because. So that's why you want to go and vote. And what's going to happen? Let's just say on the off chance that they win. They get the majority of seats. How does that change your life? All we're going to get for the next 2 years is griping from the council. The government then gave me no money. But I see one of the councillors from Monroe Road or somewhere there yesterday, he posted up paving taking place in his district. Right? And he posted up a picture on his Facebook page. Adrian Ali, I think is his name. Now you are no longer a councillor. Your political leader has told you, don't do anything. After May 18th, do nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can't approve nothing. Council cannot approve anything because it would be illegal. But yet still paving works taking place in June and you want to take credit for it. You are no longer a councillor. You cease to be a councillor on the 18th of May thanks to the Privy Council decision that you all have applauded. But you're coming out to take pictures and post up to say, look, paving taking place in my district, as if you have ceased to be a councillor more than a month now. So how you could be taking credit for something like that? That is not you. Well, boy, surprisingly, a lot of UNC supporters come in the comments and they blaze him blade in his tail. And election coming, gimmick thing. For the last 2 years, he ain't doing nothing. He ain't doing nothing for we. But all of a sudden, now you're coming to show road paving and so on. And poor fella, he there trying to explain, he did the best that he could, and with the limited resources that he had, and he had to make sure he shared it amongst the entire district. They didn't want to hear that. Surprisingly, so his own burgesses from his own party bleeding him. Go from here. Yeah? All your politicians, all is the same thing. But you're coming wrong just now to ask people for vote. Look, this road bad and that road bad, and you ain't fix that one, but you want to come and look at the quality, the condition, look at the quality of work there. There's only, and that ain't going to last 2 months. All of a sudden, they wake up and realize, surprisingly, go through about 160 something comments, and only about 5 of them blaming Rohan Sinanan. The rest of them jamming the councillor. Oli should have been doing that for the last 3 years, and maybe he would have done some work. But you see, quick. He of the 5 people who blaming the minister, he was one of them, trying to blame the Ministry of Works. Or he wrote to the Ministry of Works asking for help and all. Look, Mr. So that's it. But they're still going to vote for him, assuming that he returns as the candidate. They're still going to vote for him, no matter all the costs he gets. Some of them might not. I see some of them bigging up the pep, Philip Alexander. Only do that. Yeah, do that. I ain't no PNM, I see no PNM people supporting him. But anyway. Right. Let me get to the question. No, I was supposed to mention, I was looking for something with Rudal Munila. Let me read that quickly and then get into the question. And I hope all have pen and paper this morning to write down figures, right? Because in her asking the question, she also gave instructions when the PNM come around to your house for your vote. Ask them, how is it we were able to do this and do that without property tax? So I'll tell you this morning how they did it. Right. Let me get this here. Where is it? We post the article. I'm going on with you. I don't have time to play your nonsense. So. I ain't seen he post up the article here, but there was a newspaper article in which Rudal Munilal is making the claim that the government has retained the services of police officers to fabricate information or fabricate documents to implicate a judge, to lock up the judge, because this particular judge, he didn't call the name. And I don't know why he didn't call the name. Since you have information, right? Credible and cogent information that the government trying to lock up a judge, you should have called the judge name. So he says they want to lock up this judge because every time this judge renders a judgment, he has critical things to say about the government, and the government needs to get him out of the way. So the government has, 2 or 3 officers. You don't know if it's 2 or if it's 3. 2 or 3 officers. Here, we have information that the government has retained the services of 2 or 3 officers to fabricate lies and so on with a view to locking up the judge. Now, Trinidad and Tobago remind me, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know if the process changed, but if the police have reason to investigate a judge with the intention of locking up the judge, at the end of the day, it is the DPP who would give instructions. So, after they compile whatever evidence, they go to the DPP will review the file, and if he believes that this is a winnable case or a prima facie case has been made out against this judge based on the evidence, he will then give instructions to charge, because the DPP doesn't want to go to court to prosecute someone and then you end up with egg on your face because the evidence is not evidence. So to implicate the police, to say that the government trying to lock up a judge because they don't like the things that the judge says about them, is to also implicate the DPP and the DPP's office. Because if they fabricate evidence and the DPP lacks the ability and the wherewithal to look at this evidence and determine whether it's true or not, especially we're talking about a judge here, a judge. And if Munilal is telling us that this is what the government wants to do, and it's not far-fetched to know, we putting nothing past them. You see, remember what Manning did to late Chief Justice Sharma? Yes. So we're putting it past them. All this kind of nonsense that they come in to push the dictator talk and the dictator narrative that Rowley is a dictator. For the last 8 years, There have been many persons in many quarters who have been criticizing the government. If it is Dr. Rowley has an issue with a judge, or the rulings about that, he has no problem in speaking about it on the platform. But to go to the lengths to lock up a judge, and that would do what? What would that accomplish? So you are saying that it is possible that the police could concoct all of this evidence. Evidence. In order for the judge to get locked up, it has to be solid evidence. The DPP has to be convinced that whatever the judge is accused of doing really happened based on the evidence. But these clowns in the UNC at the highest level, Monilal, who, if God forbid they come back in 2025, would be a senior minister. That idiot, that clown on rollerblades, according to Angie, that moron, coming to tell you that the government want to lock up a judge because the judge flew to the literati. They could sell that to the waterfront ilk. But the rest of us, we know better. So tell them go from here with that nonsense. I come into the question just now. I remember to only make sure I have all the pen and paper this morning. Because you see, when they come by your gate, I want you to tell them some things. Let me get this here. Where is it? So, should I go directly to that question, boy? I feel I shouldn't know. Some of you all probably saw the clip already. As I said, somebody sent it to me and asked me the question if I could provide them with the information. All right, I will pull this up afterwards. Let me go to the mistress of the mask, the misleader of the opposition. Look at this. All right. I want you to write. Here we go.
When they come by your gate, to your house, in your street, to ask you to vote for them, I want you to ask them this. How did the UNC partnership light up so many grounds through local government without any property tax and without any inheritance tax? In fact, without any tax, did not impose a single new tax. How did the UNC partnership maintain the grounds, the pavilions, the cemeteries, the markets for 5 years in local government without property tax or inheritance tax? How did UNC get your garbage collected for 5 years through local government without property tax, without inheritance tax? How did we pave roads, build box drains, clean water courses for 5 years through the local government, again, without property tax and without inheritance tax? We have to ask them this, because everything they're saying is we must vote for them for the property tax so they can come and fix your road and pick up your garbage. You hear lie? All that is lie. That's all this bunch of incompetent persons can offer you. We did all those things. Why? We had efficient management to grow the economy. We didn't have to pay ministers' families $250 million in rent. No, we didn't take the money and do that. We didn't have over 200 ministerial recusals in the cabinet. We didn't crash the energy sector. And on top of all of that, we were not lazy. You have the laziest prime minister in the history of Trinidad and Tobago now. When we say scrap the property tax, we say what? No to property tax.
We say no to property tax. We say scrap the tax. Yeah, we heard that line already coming in 2010. Ad nauseum. Well, you beat that like a rented mule, and you got into office in 2010 with that. And you did not do that. You neither scrapped the tax, you did not repeal the Property Tax Act. In fact, you announced in 2014 you were bringing it back. You could sell that loop to the waterfront ilk. Don't bring that in. The rest of us with common sense, we know that is BS, just like your promise of $3,000 pension at age 60, old age pension at age 60, and then say it was a misprint. Rowley does lie. He said we didn't have over 200 ministerial recusals. So the information on that coming very soon, right? Yeah, but you had a cabinet of 33, the largest cabinet in this country's history of any prime minister. 33 ministers. At a time, for a population of about 1.5 million people, you needed 33 ministers to run the government and to run the country. At the same time, in the United States, with a population of about 331 million people, Barack Obama had a cabinet of 23. Same size as Kid Rowley's cabinet now, right? So there's an extra 10 ministers that you hired at a salary of about $41,000 a month, plus perks and so on. So average about $60,000. Yeah. To do what? To accomplish what? You talk about you weren't paying ministers' family rental income, but you paid one man $11 million to become a minister. Kid Rowley didn't have to do that. You seem to have forgotten that. You had a number of waste of time ministries. Yeah? Ministry of National Diversity and Social Integration. To know nobody know what that ministry is. And we know it is. It was a eat a food ministry, right? To give jobs to the boys. All them kind of dotishness. Ministry of Tobago Affairs and all kind of thing. Nipples, man. Anyway, I hope you all have your pen and paper ready, right? Because some information I will share this morning. Starting with, you all have often heard me speak about the Exchequer account and how the UNC, People's Partnership, took the Exchequer account from the highest overdraft figure it had been, 10 billion to 33, right? I want to share something with all you. We go in there. In 2010, they came into office in May 2010. But let's take on May, because the election was the 24th of May. The entire cabinet would have been sworn in on the 28th, which was the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That was a holiday because Easter Indian arrival day. So they really started to work from the 1st of June. So we check in June, July, August, September. Let me give Alice some figures here. Right? She wants to know how they were able to do it. I'm going to tell you how they did it. 2009, October. So the government's financial year runs from October, the current year, to September 30th, the following year. In 2009, October, under Patrick Manning, listen to this, money spent. October, the Manning administration spent 2.6 billion. November, the Manning administration spent 3.2 billion. December, the Manning administration spent 3.4 billion. January, 3.9. February, 2.2 billion. March, 3.9 billion. April, 3.9 billion. And May, the last month in office of the Manning administration, 2.9 billion. The PP came in end of May, beginning of June. All you hear the figures are called there just now. June, the first month in office, they spent 3.3 billion. July, 4.15 billion. August, 4.259 billion. September, 7.86 billion. So in 8 months, Patrick Manning's administration spent 26 billion. 8 months. They came in June, July, August, September, 20 billion in 4 months. The first 4 months, they wasted no time. Straight out the gates. Let me thief. $20 billion in 4 months, but Manning spent 26 in 8. Now, if it is, they had not won the election, right? And the figures and Manning's expenditure had continued along the trajectory that it had been. The previous year, let me give you what it was. In 2009, let me get it here, 2009. I have my figures written down here. The Exchequer account, as at the 30th of September 2009, the last full year of the PNM under Mr. Manning, it was in overdraft by $10,789,303,303,391. So 10.7 billion, highest it had ever been, right? Overdraft. And based on the expenditure patterns of the Manning administration up until May of 2010, the demitted office, that figure was on track to come down to maybe about 6-7 billion in overdraft, right? Prior to that, the highest had been 5.756. Coming to them figures. I want you to listen to this. 2009, 10,789,000,000, as I just mentioned to you, right? That was the overdraft figure. And the reason for that was because, all right, let me go back first, because as far back as I could have gone, which was that I could get online, was 2007. At the end of 30th of September 2007, the overdraft figure in the exchequer account was 5,683,000,000. 2008, 5,756,816,000. 2009, it went to the 10,789,000,000. Now we know 2008, fiscal 2008-2009, which would be from the 1st of October 2008 to September 2009, was an extraordinary period in terms of expenditure for the PNM. Because in 2009, we had the Summit of the Americas in April when Barack Obama came here. And we also had the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in November of 2009, which was the last visit of the late Majesty Queen Elizabeth, right? If memory serves me correctly, the budget for the Summit of the Americas was about 1.5 billion. Because remember, we built the waterfront and all of that, the Hyatt and so on, to provide accommodations for the delegates and their entourage. The government also had to, if memory serves me correctly, I think it was one or two ships they had to lease to provide extra rooms for the entourage of the delegates, the heads of government, as well as foreign media from all the different countries and so on, right? So we didn't have sufficient room stock in Port of Spain, so they had to lease, I think it was one or two, I can't remember if it was two, I think it was one or two cruise ships was dropped outside the Hyatt to provide extra room stock. And all of that was an expense. The government had to buy vehicles to transport the heads of government, so they bought fleets of Prados, Fortunas, Mazda 6s, and so on. Remember the whole fleet of cars that the People's Partnership auctioned when they came into office, because they said that was wastage of money and we're going to get back the people's money. They sell off the vehicles and then went and take the same money to buy more vehicles. When they could have used those same vehicles and give it out to ministries, because we see in this country, ministries seem to have a love for high-end SUVs. So give it out. No, well, you sell it. You auction it, sell it off, and then go on to buy more. That is UNC logic. That makes sense. But you know, you had a thief. All right? You had a thief. Some of these vehicles, if you go to Hyatt now, you see them park up in the car park, covered in dust, like they're moving years. But anyway, I digress. Right? So that was just to let you know. The expenditure in 2009 was a lot. You know, there was a lot of construction taking place, housing and all of these different things. When Mrs. Prasad sister was complaining, too much taking place. Manning overheating the economy. He's crowding out the private sector, especially the construction sector. If you want to do some work on your house, at home, you can't get a mason or a carpenter. You can't buy blocks. You can't buy cement because the government buy out all. You have to put an order in the hardware and wait 2 and 3 months to get cement and blocks. She was complaining. All that construction was taking place. Napa, Sapa, you name it. Thing happening, man. She vexed too bad. Too much people being hired. Yeah? Overheating the economy. 2009, you're complaining too much jobs. Now today, you're complaining not enough. We come into that. So, it went up to 10 billion. Now, mind you, 10.7 billion was the highest it had reached under Mr. Manning with all that construction. Right? Napa, Sapa, Chancery Lane complex down in San Fernando, Prime Minister's residence, and diplomatic center. They built schools, houses, the waterfront, government campus, all them things billion resulted in 10.7 billion in overdraft. The PP bill, anything like that? Enter the PP in 2010. We go in. 2010, 2011. Fiscal 2010-2011. The overdraft in the exchequer account went from 10.789 billion to 13.194 billion. With the highest energy revenues in this country's history, according to her. She says so, not me. So don't vex with me for that, UNC supporters. Because I saw the other day, one of them tell me a lie. Manning had the highest energy revenues. Your political leader said her government had the highest energy revenues in the country's history. If you don't believe me, I want you to go back to January 11th, 2019. Try and see if you could find that press conference that she did in response to Dr. Rowley's Mind Your Business segment that he had, the 2-night segment he had on television where he was explaining what government meant when they came in and what was the situation. After the first night, she called a press conference, sit down with Wade Mark and Fuad Khan and I said to them, And she said that in that press conference. So go and look for it. I tell her, I'll quote my sources, I don't know like UNC and come and talk nonsense. 2011, fiscal 2011, the overdraft on the exchequer account went from 13.194 billion to 20.128 billion. 2012, it went from 20.128 billion to 23.48 billion. And for the UNC listeners, let me tell you something. Going up, the figures I'm quoting here, this is not good, right? Because in 2010, based on the trajectory of the PNM spending, Mr. Manning was driving the ship of state, if you want to call it, the treasury or the exchequer account in the opposite direction. So he was heading back into the black. We were 10 billion in the red, and he was looking to head back into the black. Kamala came in May of 2010. She said, hey, hold up, wrong direction. She take control of the steering wheel and make a whole 180-degree turn and say, we heading so, red. That's the only red she ever like. Yeah? Deficit. Love that red. Deep in the red. Every year. We're going again. So I just say it, under Kamala matrix, this is not good. Right? This is negative. Debt. Interest. 2013, it went from 23.48 billion to 29.349 billion. 2014, with the highest energy revenues in this country's history, according to her, they went from 29.3 billion in overdraft to 31.95 billion in overdraft. 2015, before they leave office, they went from 31.95 billion in overdraft to $33.36 billion in overdraft. 10 under money, 2009. In 5 years, they increased the overdraft on the exchequer account by over $23 billion. With all the energy revenues that was coming in, that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough money for them. They needed to go and take money, put the exchequer account into deep overdraft, the worst that had ever been in this country's history. 33 billion. You see, 13 billion. So when Manning was heading going down, take it out of the red, right? That was the one red that Manning didn't like, but that is the only red that Kamala loved. That red. 13 billion 2010, 20 billion in 2011, 23 in 2012, 29 in 2013, 2014, 31, and 2015, $33.3 billion in overdraft. But you want to know how did we do all of these things without raising taxes or implementing a single new tax? That is how you did it, madam. By increasing debt. Right? But let me give you the impact of that. We discussing figures this morning. Let me make sure you all have your pen and paper. Let me give you this. All of these debts that they took, that's just one aspect of it, right? Of the debt. Let me read this for you. Let me get this here. Oh boy. This is an article in the Newsday dated, let me get it, December the 5th, 2015. This is just about 3 months after the PNM came into office. Finance Minister Colm Membert says the former PP government raided the National Gas Company of almost $14 billion in cash. He made the claim while presenting 3 motions for debate in the House of Representatives yesterday. The motion seeks to increase the ceiling of government for borrowing by $50 billion under the Development Loans Act. Membert said the former Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessa's government, increased the borrowing limits under the legislation by $32 billion in 2011. Membert said when the limits were increased, the then government said it would not use all the funds. He said the former government used $28 billion out of the 32. Only $4 billion left out of that $32 billion he added. Membert said instead of seeking to further increase the limits, they raided the NGC. They took $1.5 billion in 2013, $1 billion in 2012, $4.5 billion in 2015. They raided the NGC of almost $14 billion in cash and used it for recurrent expenditure with no proper procurement. I go on. He said the former administration consistently went into the overdraft at Central Bank and they raided the overdraft wiped out the whole 6.5 billion in cash that they met, and then used up the entire 9 billion overdraft limit, a separate overdraft. He said they took 14 billion from the NGC in cash, they took 16 billion in cash from Central Bank from the overdraft, and then borrowed 28 billion. 58 billion. And rather than telling the parliament what they were doing, they hid it from the country. Imbert said deposits in the Green Fund, 3.7 billion, and the Unemployment Fund, 8.3 billion, have been pledged as collateral against the overdraft, and they have borrowed against it, and now those funds are not available to the people of this country. Let me repeat that again. Imbert said the deposits in the Green Fund, 3.7 billion, and the Unemployment Fund, 8.3 billion, have been pledged as collateral against the overdraft, and they have borrowed against it, and now those funds are not available to the people of this country. So they tie up them two funds as collateral. So you can't go in there and get nothing to help the people. But don't take any money from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. Government shouldn't have had to do that if it is that these two funds weren't tied up. If they weren't tied up as collateral, untouchable, then they wouldn't have had to go into the HSF. For the UNC supporters who are listening, and government, they're reading the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. We continue. He said in 2015, under the former government, $1.8 billion in new loans had been contracted. Couva Children's Hospital, $1 billion. You hear that? But the highest energy revenues in the country's history, having taken out almost $16 billion from the NGC account. They borrowed $1.8 billion in 2015, $1 billion of which was supposed to go for the children, the Couva Children's Hospital. And who they borrow it from? The Chinese. But the supporters always quick to talk and well, what? The PNM and Rowley selling out the country to the Chinese, and they sell the pitch lake to the Chinese. Right? But your government borrow $1 billion from the Chinese to build the Couva Children's Hospital. They borrow a further $800 million to build the aquatic center in Couva, and also to build the cycling velodrome or the cycling center in Couva from the Chinese. And guess what? The payments on those loans began in 2018 under Keith Rowley and Coleman Booth. So them borrow it, Kamala borrow it, but she didn't have to find any money to start to pay. Keith Rowley and the PNM, that was one of the many burdens, the financial burdens that they met when they came in 2015 and had to find money in 2018 at a time when energy prices falling to start to make loan payments to the Chinese for this loan that they took to build Couva Hospital, Aquatic Center, and the Cycling Center. You want to know further, madam, how you all did it? I will tell you this morning how she did it. Imbert added in 2015, under the Guarantee of Loans Act, several loans in the amount of 1.3 billion are under review, and letters of guarantee may or may not be cancelled. Let me see. So that's just a little bit of the borrowings, right? So in addition to all of that, I just told you, they took the exchequer account from 10 billion to 23 billion in overdraft, with the highest energy revenues in the country history. If you're making that kind of money, why you incurring all of this set of debt? Well, you want to know how she did it? Well, that's the first part. Supporters of the UNC. So I tell her, let's make sure you have pen and paper and write that down. So she say when they come by your door, ask them how they did it. Well, I giving only the answer to give them when they ask for you that, how they did it. Let me give you all this, right? I'll pull up this here. As a result of those loans, and I got this information from the Central Bank. Let me give you all an idea as to what those loans and those debts, that overdraft and all of that, what it cost us. In 2010, from 2010 to 2011, total government expenditure on interest payments on loans was 2.8 billion. 2011 to 2012, 2.9 billion. 2012 to 2013, 2.8 billion. This is interest on loans. 2013 to 2014, 3.1 billion. 2014 to 2015, 3.4 billion. 2015 to 2016, so the PNM comes in now, inherits all of these debts, and has to start to pay interest. 2015 to 2016, interest on loans incurred by the PP, 3.7 billion. 2016 to 2017, 4.4 billion. 2017 to 2018, they like to say billion, Anil Roberts, $4.786 billion. 2018 to 2019, when we had to start paying back the loan to the Chinese for the Kuva Hospital, 5.045 billion. 2019 to 2020, 5.062 billion. Interest. 10% of this country's annual budget goes into paying interest on loans, interest on overdraft facilities. And because the PP put the exchequer account in permanent overdraft, unless by some divine intervention, we end up fortunate like Guyana, and we get some big oil fine and some big oil gas fine that allows us to be able to make at least a 20-something or 30-something billion dollars extra in income in a year or two. Interest have to be paid on that overdraft facility, right? Government can't come out of that so unless they find some serious money, as I said. So since 2015 and before that, billions of dollars that should have been going into paving road. They like to talk about the state of the road and building school and hospital. All them about is build hospital, right? To accommodate sick people. Like apparently they expect the whole population to get sick and end up in the hospital. Build hospital. I don't know how many more hospitals you want to build. Per capita, we probably ranking high up there in the amount of hospitals relative to the number of citizens, right? But that is the answer to everything. Build hospital, more beds to accommodate more sick people rather than you promote a campaign of healthy living and show people what they could do to improve their lifestyle so they could stay out of the hospital. No. So between 2015 to 2020, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 23, about $24 billion has been spent on interest on loans and overdraft. $24 billion. That is enough money to pave every road in this country. We supposed to, but that money, if we weren't paying that money on loans, we're supposed to have the best roads in the Western Hemisphere with that kind of money. But them take loan, when they borrow, overdraft. But she asking how you did it without increasing a single tax. And then she come in to tell you, put us back in 2025. And we will cut corporate tax. We will reduce income tax. And without implementing a single new tax, we're going to give all the things that you want. The best roads in the country. Water 24/7. Every household can get water. What? We're building school, and next 100 and something school. You name it. Trinidad and Tobago will be a veritable utopia. Right? We're cutting government revenue, at least from the corporation tax side, by half. Yes. And all them things that Rowley can't give all you, we don't give all you with less money. Right? Kamala-matics for you. And the supporters lapping that up. Buying that nonsense. Going again. Give all you some other figures here. Here this one. They love to boast they created jobs and how many jobs they created. 55,000 jobs between 2010 to 2015. Let me give all of these figures. 2010 to 2011, government's expenditure on wages and salaries, 7.1 billion. 2011 to 2012, 7.2 billion. 2012 to 2013, 9.1 billion on wages and salary. That people working for the government in one way or another. If you're in the public service, you're working CPEP, whatever, URP, state enterprise, whatever, right? 2013 to 2014, 8.5 billion. Now we're confused with this one because in 2012, you paid 9.1 billion in wages and salaries, but 2013, you only pay 8.5 billion. That's a reduction of $600 million. How that happen? And you're creating jobs. If you're creating jobs, your wage bill is supposed to be going up, not coming down. But they say they created so many jobs. 2014, wages and salaries, 10 billion. But we know what happened between 2013 and 2014. They gave a pay raise to public servants, so they had to pay back pay and all of them things and the new salaries, right? So they had an extraordinary expenditure there. But then in 2015, it went back down. 2014, 2015, went down to 9.6. 9.6, okay. They said under the PNM. So in their first 2 years, PP, right? 7.1, 7.2, 9.1, 8.5, 10 billion. But they said they create jobs under the PNM. 9.6, 2015 to 2016. 2016 to 2017, 9.9 billion wages and salaries. 2017 to 2018, 9.09 billion. 2018 to 2019, 9.1 billion. 2019 to 2020, 9.24 billion. Know what that means? That the PNM administration from 2015 to 2020 paid more money in wages and salaries than the People's Partnership paid in wages and salaries between 2010 to 2015. But they created jobs, 55,000 jobs. So how is it that the PNM not just say crashing the economy, the PNM not just say firing people, costing people jobs? The public sector is paying more money in wages and salaries than you paid for your 5 years. I wonder. And on 2 occasions in your 5 years, your wages and salaries bill went down. The PNM bill ain't going down. And we know the only time salaries went up was in 2013, 2014 there, right? So you can't tell me the reason why the PNM paying more money in wages and salaries is because salaries are higher. No, you can't tell me that. Because it's only this year, this is the first pay raise this government has given since they came into office. And people, I don't think, start to receive that salary yet, but in any event, this is up to 2020. Right? This is up to 2020. So the only explanation that could come there is that the PNM was hiring more people. Hence the reason the wage bill went up. I just say, under the PNM. Yeah? But all it creates so many jobs, 55,000 jobs. And, right. Going again. Let's know. Let me get this here. Just right. So I touched on that. So many things I had to save last night, huh? When I should be in my bed. Right. So where is this other figure here? So I wanted to touch now with respect to the exchequer account, what the PNM did when they came in 2015 to 2016, right? Under the management of the engineer, not the career economist Winston Dukaran, not the $1 million Minister of Finance, the career banker, not under he. 5 years, 4 years, 1 year under Dukaran, and 5 years under the $1 million minister. The deficit or the overdraft and the exchequer account kept going up and up and up. Embert's first year in office, it went down, right? From 33.3 billion to 29.5 billion under the engineer, the square peg in the wrong hole, as they like to call it. But the round pegs in the round holes couldn't do what the square peg could do, right? He's an engineer. What do you know about finance? But he was able to bring it down by 4 billion in the first year. But then enter low oil prices. So unfortunately, the government had to go into the exchequer account. So it went back up. 2019, so 2017 had the largest jump from 29 to 36. Sorry, 2016 to 2017. 2017 to 2018, it went up from 36 to 40. 2019, it went to 41. 2020, it went to 42. 2021 stayed at 42. It went up from 42.08 to 42.6. And 2022, it went to 42.8. So between 2015 to 2022, under Keith Rowley and the square peg in the wrong hole, the engineer, Coleman Burt, the increase in the overdraft on the exchequer account was only 13 billion, from 29 to 42, sorry. 13 in 7, but under the PP, 23 in 5. 13 in 7 versus 23 in 5. When, according to her, they had the highest energy revenues in the country's history. You took the exchequer account, the overdraft, up by 23 billion with your economist Minister of Finance and your career banker Minister of Finance, who you paid millions to become Minister of Finance. Those two economic geniuses, 23 billion, highest energy revenues. But with depleted oil prices, low energy revenues, the square peg, the engineer, only 13 billion. It went up by 10 billion less in 7 years. She want to know how she did it? Let me give all you some more figures. Going down the figures road. Let me get it here. Where is it? So, right. Is this one, boy? No, not this one. Just so. Tell you, there's so many things I had to save here. Right. Central government current expenditure. This is the one I'm looking for. Write down this summer, please, if you care to. Central bank figures. Central government oil revenue. This is the money that the government got from selling oil, right? 2010, 20 billion, 795 million. This is 2010 to 2011 under Kamala. This is why she could say her government had the highest energy revenues in the country's history. 2011 to 2012, 20.56 billion. 2012 to 2013, $19.98 billion. 2013 to 2014, $21.5 billion. 2014 to 2015, well, you all remember the oil prices fell in 2014, right? And that's when she came in January of 2015 and did her State of the Economy address, for which she was wrongly criticized by several quarters. In other words, they say it was tall on fluff and short on substance. Only a set of platitudes and big words, but nothing to reassure anybody. So you all hear them figures. Let me just give it to you again. 20.7 in 2010 to 2011, 20.5 billion. This is money that they earned just from the sale of oil. Not gas, oil. 2012, 19.987 billion. 2013 to 2014, 21.5. 2014 to 2015, it went down to 13.6, right? For a grand total, let me get it here. I write it down, I do the maths. $96.5 billion in their 5 years from the sale of oil. Enter Keith Rowley's administration when oil prices start. So the downward slide in the oil prices continued. 2015 to 2016, 3.8 billion. 2016 to 2017, 4.2 billion. We're not in the teens. So they were enjoying 20s, right? Okay. 2017 to 2018, 6.2 billion. 2018 to 2019, well, they get a jump. The first time under the Keith Rowley administration that oil revenues was in the teens, 11.5. And then 2019 to 2020, it went down again to 5.9 billion. So in Kamala Persad-Bissessa's 5 years, just for oil money alone, her government received $96.5 billion in oil revenue. For Keith Rowley's 5 years, first 5 years, 2015 to 2020, his government received $31.8 billion in oil revenue. Kamala Persad-Bissessa received more than 3 times the amount of money that Keith Rowley received in his 5 years, his first 5 years, just from oil alone. 96.5 billion under the PP, 31.8 under the PNM. Yeah? And even in that, his administration didn't take the exchequer account to 23 plus billion in negative. Right? Just take note of this. All right? It's telling all of that. 96.5 versus what? 31.8. But they expect this government to work miracles. Don't borrow. Don't take no money from the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. No new taxes. No. My government, we didn't implement a single new tax. But even in the face of $96 billion in just oil money alone, we take 16 billion from NGC account, 23 billion, right, from the Exchequer account. Next overdraft, Imbo told you, you spend all the 6.5 billion that you met in cash. All of that. Where bill? You bill anything comparable to Napa and Sapa? You build anything comparable to the government campus? You build anything comparable to the Port of Spain waterfront? The Prime Minister's residence? Anything? No. You take 7 billion from the Treasury to build a highway to thief. The thief. Right. We're going again. Central government, oil sector, tax revenue. Right? This is the taxes now. 2010 to 2011, PP, 18.2 billion. 2011 to 2012, 17.9 billion. 2012 to 2013, 16.7 billion. 2013 to 2014, 19 billion. 2014 to 2015, 12 billion. Keith Rowley administration came in 2015. Central government oil sector tax revenue, 2015 to 2016, 2 billion. 2016 to 2017, 1.8 billion. 2017 to 2018, 2.8 billion. 2018 to 2019, 5.4 billion. 2019 to 2020, 2.4 billion. You see what this government had to contend with for the first 5 years? PP first 5 years, 18.2, 17.9, 16.7, 19 billion, 12 billion. Keith Rowley, 2 billion, 1.8 billion, 2.8 billion, 5.4 billion, 2.4. So in Keith Rowley's 5 years, in his 5 years, tax revenue from the oil sector, right? In 1 year, Kamla Prasad Bisesa made more tax revenue from the oil sector in 1 year than Keith Rowley made in 5. 1 year, pick anyone. 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, you pick anyone. In any one of those years, they earned more tax revenue from the energy sector, the oil sector, than Keith Rowley received in his full 5. But Rowley don't like poor people. And they expect the Rowley administration to work miracles. Yeah, work miracles with that. Yeah. But the dwen, the square peg in the wrong hole, all that chocolate talk, all of that dotish talk. And, right. Yeah, understand why this government finds itself in the place that it finds itself. And when she asked the question, how did we do it without implementing a single new tax? Well, look at there, madam. Look at the kind of money that your government received as compared to the kind of money that Keith Rowley's government received. But we gripe in. The road they're paving under Keith Rowley. Well, Keith Rowley didn't have 18 billion by 17, by 16, by 19, by 12. In his 5 years, he didn't have that. But he had 2, 1.8, 2.8, 5.4, 2.4. That's what he had to work with. And had to pay more salaries because I gave you all the salary, wages and salaries figure. He had to pay more wages and salaries with less income, less revenue. Right? All the things that he had to do. He had to pay more money in interest on loans for debts that they incurred with the little bit of money that he get. So the crumbs that he get as compared to the big cake that the PP got, he had to take a chunk of that to pay interest on loans that she took. For what? What we get? Tell me now, what we got? If you could show me, well, they built something comparable to what Patrick Manning built, I could tell you, all right. You spend the money on things. You could point and tell me you spend the money on things. Fine. But all of your major infrastructural projects between 2010 to 2015 was financed by borrowing. You take loan from the Chinese for all your major projects. So where the hell all these billions went? I'm confused. Where did all these billions go? Madam, tell us what your bill with it. You can't tell me your bill nothing. Other than the 7 billion that you take for the highway, and then have nothing else you could point to and say, we built that with the oil money. We built that with the gas money. Because everything else was loan upon loan upon loan. I confused. Her supporters are going to ask that question. No, because thing was better under Kamala. Yeah, thing was better under Kamala because Kamala was borrowing to the hilt. Kamala was just putting the country deeper in debt and then saying nothing. And Rowley came in now, and Rowley had to find the money to finance that debt. And as a result of that, the little bit of money that you already have, having to go to these things because the choice can be made, Should I use the money for the direct benefit of the citizens and not pay these loans and damage the country's international credit rating so much so that we will either not be able to borrow in the international market because when we default on our loan obligations, Standard & Poor's that they know plenty about, Moody's and Fitch coming to give us a negative rating, and to hear all them economists and them that they love to run and interview them for them to say, well, this is not good. And Trinidad and Tobago's downgrade in the credit rating and is under Rowley. And yeah, we don't hear all about that. So the choice he had was take the money, the little bit that I get in, as compared to what they got. Pay these loans, pay interest, loan payments, preserve the country's credit rating, but at the expense of the citizenry, because the money that I pay in there should have been used to benefit the citizens. Or do I default on these loans, right? Damage the country's credit rating, such that when we have to go and borrow on the international market, we either get an exorbitantly high interest rate, or they say, nah, we ain't lending all your money, all your bad pay. Your credit history, poor. You can't get no loan. You have to provide full collateral. We're not giving you any unsecured loans because you don't pay your debts. We didn't do that. Unfortunately, the citizens had to pay the price. With a little bit of money that I just called, and as I say, I quote my sources. This is the central bank. You want to know? Central bank, public finance, fiscal. Just pull it up. And you just punch in the years that you want, and all of the data will come up. It will populate all the data for you to see. So this is not me making up figures here. This is on the central bank website. And if you want, file a freedom of information request on them, and you could get all of that printed out so you could keep it for posterity. This is what this administration had to face. So when she asked in your question, how did her government do it? When they come around your house, make sure you have these figures together. Show them how she did it, right? Debt, and more debt. All these billions they get. But up to now, we don't know where it's spent, what it's spent on, but it's gone. Going again, something else I wanted to touch on. Right, so I gave you the oil revenue, tax revenue. That's so many things that I received here this morning, right? Let me get this article here for you all. We're reading this morning too. Just now. Just give me 1 second. So many things. Right. Did I save it on this one? Right. Is this it by? I'm not seeing that one. Right. Inflation. We're talking inflation now, right? Because I saw the supporters talking about under Keith Rowley, the cost of living going up and inflation so high and everything, the price of everything. And people can't afford to put food on the table. They can't afford to buy the basic necessities. 2010, inflation rate, Trinidad and Tobago, PP, 10.55%. 2011, it went down to 5.11%. 2012, it went back up to 9.26%. 2013, it went down to 5.20%. 2014, it was 5.68%. 2015, it went down to 4.66%, right? So we're looking at between the lowest 4.66 and the highest 10.55 under the PP. Enter Keith Rowley, 2015, 2016. 3.07% inflation. 2017, 1.88%. 2018, 1.02%. 2019, 1%. 2020, 0.60%. 2021, 2.06%. For the benefit of the supporters of the UNC who are listening, you know what that means? Under Kamla Prasad Bisesa, an entire tenure from 2010 to 2015, cost of living was higher under Kamla Prasad Bisesa than under Keith Rowley. Right? Central Bank statistics. It's on the Central Bank website, easy to find. Yeah? So don't take my word for it. Just go on Central Bank. Let me give all the figures again. 2010, 10.55% inflation rate. 2011, 5.11. 2012, 9.26. 2013, 5.20. 2014, 5.68. 2015, 4.66. 2016 under Keith Rowley, 3.07. 2017, 1.88. 2018, 1.02. 2019, 1%. 2020, 0.60%. 2021, 2.06. Ask yourself why it is you do ever hear the UNC quoting inflation figures. They will just put out nebulous information and say, oh, the cost of living under the UNC was lower, right? The statistics don't bear that out. And they love data. Everything for them. For them to support legislation, give us the data. We want the data. Provide us with the data so we can make a decision. So look the data here. Look the data here, and the data says that under the People's Partnership, 2010 to 2015, the price of goods and services was rising at a much faster rate than under Keith Rowley and the square peg engineer. You know what I would say when you confront them with these figures? Yeah, well, that represents stagflation. Because you know what? Nobody wasn't spending no money in the economy. And that's why. Yeah, people wasn't spending because they didn't have money to spend. They're suffering. People lost their work and so on. So that's why. That's why the rate was so low. But they will never come on the Monday Night Forum and quote it. Quote the figures and tell the people the truth. Tell them the truth. Wouldn't do that. They only want statistics and data when they're in the parliament to not support good legislation. So they're not supporting the bill amendment bill because not enough people get locked up under the bill. You ever hear stupidness, sir? Because you find not enough people got locked up under the legislation, that means the legislation ain't good. The police are using it, so we don't need it. You should be happy. No, you ain't locking up enough people, so let me get rid of the legislation. So you don't have it at all. So the 10 or 15 people that you lock up under the legislation is not sufficient to warrant it, so get rid of it. So now you can't lock up nobody under that legislation because it no longer exists. Right? Okay. And that is UNC logic for you. But they're complaining about home invasion. Home invasion, that's what they're complaining about. Yeah, and they want gun. So she going to give you a gun. Put me in office, make me prime minister again. Quite possibly for the last two. Because I heard somebody say she wants to cross the floor to the PNM too, but she needs somebody to hold her hand. Right? Stand your ground. You want gun, you could get gun. People come in your place, boss a cap. You want the neighbor follow the neighbor playing their music too loud, you ask them to turn it down, and they want to turn it down, feel free. Start a cuss out and let the neighbor come across in the yard with his cutlass and put two cap in the backside and call that judge. And they have their police officers who will coach you in as to what to say in order to get off. Johnny Abraham? Go ahead, do what you have to do, but just make sure you know what to say when the police come. But don't worry, we will hold town hall meetings and coach you all in what to say. Yeah? Because you suspect your wife with the neighbor. Yeah? That is side piece. So you want to deal with the two of them. Invite him over, start a cuss out and put two cap in the backside. And then say you're standing your ground. And one gun, you could get gun. Put more guns on the street. Yeah, the fellows who had the experience. So every day we had to read in newspapers, the person was carrying a legal firearm, right? They had a FUL, and they were relieved of their gun. So make it easy for the criminals now that they don't even have to import it anymore. They could just run up in somebody's house, hold them up, and take the gun. Easy pickings. Because when they come inside, you ain't expecting them. Gun don't train on you. Where the gun? Where the gun? And they know. So when it is gun license give out, FUL give out, and the corrupt officers want to tell people, hey, well, this fella he just gave you FUL, he have a gun. Deal with that. We've heard the stories of officers who run in drug block, and they know who have FUL. You feel the corruption was done? Not at all. Let's see what I have here. Right. There was something else I wanted to touch on. Was the time there? Because I'm kind of tight for time this morning because I have a busy morning. Right. This one. There's one more thing I wanted to share. I don't know why I'm not finding this this article. Let me see if it is that I saved it here. Just now. Folks, give me 1 second. Let me just try and pull this thing up here, please. State view. Just now. Right. I don't know why I'm not seeing this thing. I just wanted to touch on one other thing quickly. I have more figures, and as I told you, I wanted to go back to revisit the UNC's economic transformation plan, right? But as I said, in the interest of time this morning, I wouldn't be able to. But I came across a comment. A lot of the UNC supporters engage in the page now. They come on with their disrespectful self, some of them. And some of the comments that they're making under the posts, bigging up the leader, right? The Maharani, Kamala Prasad Visesa. I'm talking about she's the best thing for this country because she loves people. And she so loves people, right? I was driving a couple days ago on the dual carriageway, Malabar dual carriageway, heading down to Larry Gomes Stadium. And I passed by Grand Paper, the Grand Paper company, I think that's the name of it. They're responsible for brands such as White Cloud and so on. So they make toilet paper, they make the hand towels and other paper products, napkins and so on, right? And the building looking nice. And I saw 2 trucks, the 40-foot container trucks coming out, driving out of the compound, followed by some of the smaller trucks who do deliveries to the groceries and so on. And I looked at that and I marveled at it. And I said, you know what? Thanks to Keith Rowley and the Square Peg, the engineer, those 2 trucks are now driving out with 2 40-foot containers to go overseas, right? That is sales orders that Grand Paper, Trinidad Tissue, has gotten. Not Trinidad, that's US dollars. Those 2 40-foot containers, that is US dollars. Products that are going to fetch US dollars on their way to the port to be shipped to whichever country. And I marveled at it. You know why? Because I say, look at that. Kamala Prasad Visesa is telling people, don't vote for Rowley. Don't vote for the PNM. Don't vote for Colmenbert because Colmenbert, the Square Peg engineer, and Keith Rowley gave a $5 million loan guarantee to this company. Not a loan, a guarantee of $5 million US to the Import-Export Bank, the Exim Bank, to be able to save the company. Today, company doing good business, building looking good, like they expanded too. They probably hire some more staff. At that time, over 400 persons employed there. Business thriving today. Yeah? Thriving. White Cloud is my brand. The other day I went to the grocery and I can't find it. Shortage. So what's going on here, boy? Sell out. Sell out. It's a popular brand. But had Kamala Prasad Visesa been the prime minister, had she won the election in 2015, that building, Grand Paper, Trinidad Tissue, would have been a white elephant. You would have probably seen grass growing on the closed gates because she's saying she would not have done what Keith Rowley did. She would not have done what Colmenbert did, which is to provide the loan guarantee to save that private company, as she says. Today, that company is doing exceptionally well because the government gave them a hand up, right? Today, that company is employing over 400 persons. At the time that they got the loan guarantee, 400 persons were working there too, right? Kamala is telling her people, don't vote for Rowley because Rowley take 5 million US, right? He didn't give them no money. It's a loan guarantee. And as a result of that, he saved for 400 jobs. But you want to tell you how much job people lost and people lost. 400 persons and more kept their jobs. If we do an average of about each of those 400 persons feeding, let's say, 3 mouths, their salary feeding 3 mouths, that's 1,200 people. 1,200 people who Keith Rowley and the Square Peg engineer ensured continue to have 3 meals per day. That's 1,200 people, at least, that Keith Rowley and the Square Peg engineer, through that one act, ensured had a roof over their head for the last 7 years or so. Yes, that Square Peg, Imbut, and Keith Rowley, that's over 1,200 people who today continue to enjoy a good standard of living thanks to the Square Peg and Keith Rowley. But Kamala Persadi sister is telling you, when she says that and criticizes that action, she would not do that. She would have allowed the company to fold up. Those 400 persons to lose their jobs. Those 1,200 mouths probably, right, would have gone hungry. Who would not have been able to pay their rent, to pay their utility bills, to pay their car loan, their mortgage. Because according to her, I so love people. You never hear Keith Rowley tell his supporters he loved them. You never hear Keith Rowley tell the country he loves you. But I love you. All of me loves all of you. And this is how I show my love, right? By criticizing something that saved over 400 jobs. Criticizing an action on the part of the Square Peg engineer and Keith Rowley that ensured that that company stayed afloat, is today thriving, contributing to GDP. They like to talk about GDP and the GDP and how and GDP under them was so high. Foreign direct investment, contributing corporation tax, contributing income tax, because I'm sure that there are people inside there at managerial level and others who earning over $7,500 a month. Contributing, that's over 400 people contributing to NIS, right? The strained NIS fund. Every month, they're collecting a check from Grand Bay Paper and Trinidad Tissue for the over 400 employees for NIS, right? But Kamala is telling you that is something to vote against. That is something to criticize Keith Rowley for doing, that he take taxpayers' money to provide a loan guarantee. The loan probably paid off by now, right? All these big orders that the company is getting, 2 40-foot containers. And that was just on one day. On one day. Yeah? Look how many things Keith Rowley saved. Taxes, GDP, employment, NIS, all them things. And she tells you that is something to hate Rowley for. That is something to vote against Rowley for. She wouldn't have done that. And know what's the sad part? I'm sure some of them 400 people whose jobs were saved probably supporting the UNC. Yeah? Despite the fact that the leader of that party wanted you all to lose your work. She wanted you all to not be able to pay your bills, not be able to put food on the table. And you're still going and support her. I can support her party. That making sense? That's logic. You want to support a woman who wanted to cost you your job, to cause your company to fold? That making sense. And you're going and support and vote for that. And there was one other thing I saw. They're talking about the same love thing, right? In 2010, when they came in, they wasted no time. They fired 527 URP workers because they claimed that these people were PNM. 527 URP workers. It ended up costing the state, because the matter went to the industrial court, and it ended up costing the state, again, another expense for the Keith Rowley administration, $22 million to compensate those 527 URP workers. Who are the people who work in URP? The 1%? Huh? No. It's the same poor people that they so love, the same poor people that they're batting for now, the same poor people that they don't want to have to pay property tax, and the same poor people who they claim suffering and can't buy the basic food items. 527 of them you fired without care or regard as to how they're eating, how they're paying their bills, how they're sending the children to school. You couldn't care less, but you love them. All of me loves all of you. And that is how she showed her love. by sending home 527 Mawale, which she said was PNM. Yeah? That's how she loves you so. She's the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and she will take care of you. But to hell with that 527 Mawale, what about PNM? Nothing for you. I take away the little bit all you have to. See how well you can fend for yourself. Yeah. So they ain't earning no money. The little small crumbs, the kakada that they were getting, and barely getting by, you take it from them. What you expected? It's only under Keith Rowley, when things like that happen, crime goes up. Yeah? But when it happened under the PP and under Kamla, these poor people don't turn to a life of crime. No. They just bounce back and they go and get higher paying jobs elsewhere, right? Yeah. But it's only under Keith Rowley and the PNM, under the square peg engineer, that jobs were lost. That didn't happen. Jobs were lost, eh? They fired 527 people. Fired them. No compensation, no nothing. Go home. They always love all these single mothers. You know how many single mothers work in URP? You know how much of that 527 was probably single mothers and single fathers? But she loves you so. All of me loves all of you. That's UNC love. Look at keep that love. You see that kind of love, me with it. Keep that. Keep that in the house of the setting sun. Yeah, that's for them. We don't want that kind of love here. Right? Yeah, that love ain't no good. This song, you can't love without money. Can't make love on hungry belly. Johnny, you see. You're the only one that I'm dreaming of. My turtle dove, but no money? No love. I think no love there for them. 7701763. What is that for? Let me see. Yeah. I have more figures for Leno. You'll get it on Sunday morning, God's willing. All right? Just thought I'd bring that to your attention this morning. Right. Just now. Hold on. Let me. How to do this? Turn this off. Turn this one on. Technology, right? Technology. All right. Let me get this one here. Put this here. Connect this. Good. We're cooking with gas now. All right, you can call me back, caller. I just needed to set up the apparatus here for the calls. 7701763. Good morning to Mr. Chance. Good morning to Mr. Yates. Brian, morning. Hello, good morning. Morning, sir. I am good.
Yes, man. Enjoy anything.
Thank
Educate
you.
any masses as usual.
Yes.
Thank you for playing that little audio clip from Canada Sadbisessa. You know, as in the word of the late gladiator, that statement she made about asking questions about under her tenure, she was able to do X, Y, and Z without the property tax or the inheritance. That is one of the most asinine statements thing I ever heard. As in the word of the late gladiator, there's a paralysis in her analysis.
Correct.
And I'm hoping that when the upcoming PNM convention, I hope if we can bring it to the early trimester, I think the PNM need to educate the masses how government does get the expenditure, you know, and revenues, because apparently we don't have not so bright people in this country. People tell themselves that we still dependent on oil and gas. That is not the case where government get revenues, you know. We had to get it from the taxes.
Yes. And
oil and gas, which is dwindling considerably bad, and we had to rely on the business taxes from the businessmen and stuff like that, right? So you mean to tell me from the period 2010 and 2015, she's spending so much money on things in local government? How the government gonna reimburse that money? She's spending, right?
Yes.
So where's she gonna get the extra revenues from? Oil and gas, which is dwindling in the country. That is very hard. And that is the problem with certain people. There are some people in this country who want to live a certain lifestyle and they want to borrow from the banks. Dominic?
Yes.
They would put this country in certain debts. Tell me something. With all the flooding going on, what did Canada Sadbisessa did between 2010 and 2015 with the box drains? I thought the box drains supposed to alleviate the flooding.
Yeah, supposed to.
Waste some money.
Correct.
And people don't understand we have to get other forms of revenue because we cannot depend so much on the oil and gas revenues.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolute madness. And there was a reason why Mr. Mann decided to use it as a plant as downstream industries. That was one of the things. Open up the mega farms.
I'll touch on that smelter plant next week.
That is the madness thinking. I real vexed about that, you know. And what in the comments there?
Yeah.
And I think you need to make a PowerPoint set, but I think you need to talk to the leader, Mr. Dr. Roy, or somebody there, to educate the people how the government does acquire revenue. Because this is real stupid and people go fall for that. There was a time when the government had to pay people money. Certain union leaders or telling the government find the money, they don't care where the government had to find the money, what to kill, what. So the government had to what? Prostitute themselves to get the money, to pay people.
Yeah.
And that's that they're collaborating with the government for they want to ask the government to increase it from $30 per hour.
Yes.
You know what that caused in this country? A domino effect. Again, people not educated about that. But I want to touch on something, Dominic. I know that you're focusing on this thing, but this thing with the so-called LGBTQ thing with the books and stuff like that, you know? And they're blaming the government for that too. Once again, misinformation. People seem to forget that the opposition leader brought in a temporary senator who's neither male or female. Anybody remember that person?
Yes.
And it is rumored that that person may be tipped to be the San Fernando mayor if, God forbid, the USC is able to win San Fernando.
Yes.
People seem to forget that individual.
Apparently.
You have to remind them because Trinidad seem to forget, but they're blaming the government for introducing this alternative lifestyle. Not to mention alternative lifestyle among the parliamentarians as well. And there's somebody else in Tobago as well, but you don't call that person name.
Yes.
But rumors are about them. Right? So you remind the people now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ah, boy. See. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning, brother. How are you going?
I am good, sir.
You know, I wanted to ask you a question, but I thought I saw somebody resembling you and FCB at one workplace, but
when was that? Hello?
But I was in the line, so I couldn't come out to, introduce myself as a boxer, but that looking like Mr. Romain. But
yeah, that's my branch. That's my branch.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the matters you discussed this morning. You see, when you just discussed it, but I've been trying to tell people that the last 5 years in terms of because I say, listen, all the information is there on the central bank website. You don't have to believe me. And, there's another fallacy that they speak, Dominic, about the price of oil was lowest under Pandy. Another lie that I have to rubbish of people. I say the price of oil was lowest under George Chambers and even Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
And they keep telling these lies that people foment every 5 years and so on. Now, you see what you just presented there, just those raw figures. Those raw figures show you the monumental task that faced the Kid Rowley administration. And in the worst of it, when oil fell below $1, it was zero. Nobody was terminated, Dominic. And people don't appreciate that in the public sector. Right? Of course, there was displacement in the private sector because of their, but in the government sector, and a portion of the health sector will be able to get a bonus, Dominic.
Yes.
This is even while negotiations were going on. Now listen, I am affected because I was a public sector worker, no pensioner. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I was aghast with the 4%. But I understand the situation. And this I work, me and my colleagues were employed. Imagine you were home, Dominic, and getting paid. You had food support. The government provide, and these people say what the government do by survey. You understand? And then when you watch that the minister was able to report to us in the last mid-year review in terms of how our payments came down in terms of recurrent expenditure and trying to balance that. What is the deficit now? Something like 10 billion. It is projected to fall down to single digit for the first time in how much years, Dominic? In the face of falling oil revenues. Come on, people. And I say again to the fellow devotees of this channel and others, continue the mantra of Professor Chance and Professor Yates and Sister Jenny.
Yes.
This is a general election. We have to treat it as such, brother. Continue the good work, and I look forward to more engagement. And if I see you again, sir,
yes, sir.
at one workplace, I shall introduce myself, brother.
No problem.
Take care.
You too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jenny, morning.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all those who locked in and tune in. Dominic, your show getting hard to get you. Dominic, I see those things that you just told us there. So persons like me who is not so inclined with numbers, could you reproduce it, please, so that if I can get it, I can always share it, because I can write it down to make sense, to be able to reproduce it, to explain to anybody. So if you could probably do it so I can get it, or others could get it, so that when we read through it, we'll be able to speak on it more fluently. I can't right now. Everything is just swirling around in my head.
Yes.
Added to that, I want to say quickly on Tobago, Brother B would have been made to apologize after speaking out, giving advice to Fali. I'm not calling him Chief Secretary, I'm taking a cue from his state. Chief Secretary, Fali Augustus. He would have given his advice to Fali Augustus in terms of, this thing is looking good. Well, it's better to leave politics alone and migrate to this family. Papa, the next day, brother, we had to come and apologize. And the TV station put out a big disclaimer and all that. So the dictatorship is well analyzed in Tobago, and it will only get worse if people continue to stay silent, because they don't want to rock the boat, because people see the political aspiration, they go to note if there's an election, a fresh election, and a new mandate being called. So I just want to end by saying, August the 14th is election day, local election, treated as a general election. The PNM is having their launching of the candidates for the local election on Sunday at Napa. I think it's supposed to start at 1 o'clock. I'm telling people, come out in your numbers, in the Indians, and they say, some of them say that their trend does listen to them, so when they talk, so that they will go out and vote. Our trend does listen to us too. Talk to the children, talk to the grandchildren, talk to everybody. Bring out Tanti, Bauchi, Nene, and everybody. Get transport for them who are walking stick, who are wheelchair, get them out to go and exercise the franchise, adult suffrage. Many people have died for us, I'll be right, especially women to vote. Let us don't play lightly with this loose as fast and loose. Come out and vote in your numbers for the People's National Movement. Make sure we have only counters inside and all those corporations so we can get the ornament. Let us take back Princess Town. Let us take Shogona. Let us take Miaro Rio Claro. Let us take Sandy Grant. Let us take Superior DB. Please, people, come out in your numbers and vote resoundingly for the People's National Movement that has a plan under Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley to bring back this country, especially after COVID-19. The world is changing. Technology is making jobs become redundant. People don't be fooled. Come out in your numbers.
Jen? Hello? I don't know what happened there, Jen. Let's see. Hello, good morning.
Dominic.
Sir, morning.
Pleasant good morning to you, sir.
Morning, sir.
Dominic, those stats that you gave are welcome stats for the people of Trinidad and Tobago to take cognizant note of. But Dominic, there are some other things to add to it. One of which is in 2015, Kamla Prasad Bisesa and one energy minister, Mr. Ramnarayan, went and told the upstream oil companies, don't worry to pay, we know nothing until 2024.
Correct.
That is one of the reasons why oil revenues had dropped to that precipitated low amount. And they lied to us, they lied to the people of Trinidad and Tobago and said that the oil companies were doing a turnaround.
Yes.
I don't know when they was turning around in the sea, but that is what they sold to the people because the people perhaps would not have known better. Understand?
Yes.
And this prime minister had to, remember, at that time when the finance minister got in there and after he was told he only has 3 days of money left, and he recognized that he had to find close to $5 billion to service recurrent expenditure.
And to pay salaries for the month of September.
That's right. And then budget was coming up.
Correct.
Because remember, at the end of that month, September, when another quarter would have begun.
Yes.
You understand?
But you know, as you raise that point, Brian, one of the things that upsetted me with Joel Rambaran when he tried to debunk what Mr. Imbert had said, one of his reasons was he said that, you know, it was coming up to the end of the quarter and tax monies would have been due. But he's supposed to know that money would have been for the following quarter. So in any event, the budget, they couldn't touch it.
That's right.
And the money would have come in after September.
Right. And if it is he knew that. Why you threatened to turn up the tap?
Yeah.
If that was the case, and you knew that, and that was the excuse made by Kamala Prasad too. Why did Joel Rambaran threaten to turn up the tap and shut down the government? And shut down the country by extension?
Correct.
And you see those figures, you see, and Sister Jenny is correct. Because you see, those figures have to be chiseled into the psyche of people to understand that if that government had remained there, that people government had remained there, you were heading straight into the hands of the IMF.
The exchequer account might have been 60 billion in overdraft now.
You remember the head of the independent of the Senate at that time, Danish Mahabir?
Yeah, Danish Mahabir, yes.
And that joint select committee, when he got this figure, he wasn't shocked to say, how come your job is 33 billion?
Yes, yes.
But he never mentioned it after that because he was told, hey, you keep quiet. I saw that with my own 2 eyes and I waited for him to expand on it. He never did.
And Mr. Imbert told him, ask Kamala.
He never expanded on it because he alone wasn't shocked to realize at that time.
Yes.
Because you see, Trinidad and Tobago, figures were being withheld from this country. And I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago, all your other figures that Dominic gave us for every year that went by under the PP, and ask yourself where that money is. That is not sweetie money. That is not $20,000. That is not $200,000. That is billions. And what they did build for that, they build no hospital because they borrow money to build one single hospital and they say they build, but they couldn't finish.
Correct.
They take money out of the consolidation fund to begin the highway to a point that only reach quarterway and never finish. They build roundabouts instead of building flyover on that same set piece of highway that they were supposed to build flyovers on. What did they do with all of that money? But nobody asking these questions. And the money that not only that they borrowed, you know, Dominic.
Yes.
People forget it and get angry with that. This government, Dominic, had to find $6 billion to pay back pay. And they were threatening and they had to find the money, otherwise they were being taken to court.
Correct.
And not only that, Dominic, the EFBD issue where those were short loans for 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months. The Minister of Finance spoke about it, that he had to go and renegotiate those loans with the banks. Because when he said that particular minister went to his finance minister and said, I want $500 million, now he said, but he had no money. And it was 3 months before the election. He said, I had no money. So that minister now went and borrowed the money on short-term loans to help his friends. All of this government has to face. And And what is worth repeating, Dominic, is how much money outside of the current expenditure that they have to pay back every month in interest on those said loans.
Yes.
That is the issue here. So if you want to buy $9-10 billion every month, and then on top of that, oil prices tumbled down to the extent where there was paying to take just to store oil.
Mm-hmm.
Oil went not only to zero, it went to minus $37.
Yes.
And then comes COVID. Which government you know, Dominic, would have survived that unless it would have been for the astute leadership of this Prime Minister, of people that would have backed off this man. But he ain't helping nobody, and people suffering. And Dominic, it sickens me. I'll be honest with you, it sickens me because I don't forget these things. And people talking about when Kamala come back, Kamala go help all that we. Kamala borrowed to help everybody. She borrowed to give away so that she could put things in place to help she and her friends. Look at the kind of money when this guy spoke about the $1 billion Piaco airport issue, the kind of thing that they did, the planning that went into that in order to extort that money out of the coffers of Trinidad and Tobago from $300 million to $1.6 billion to put on the cowshed. And it was never even finished too.
Yes.
And people forgetting, Dominic, I want people to ask themselves, where did all of that money go? Not only 20 billion plus the taxes that you also read out. So that was about close to maybe $40 billion they got from oil revenue. We ain't talk gas yet.
We ain't talk gas.
Oil revenue every year, close to $40 billion TT. Trinidad and Tobago, I'm asking one simple question. Just explain to me what the PP did with that money. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That loan that they took for that children's hospital, by the way, as I said, payment started in 2018 and it was a 20-year loan. In 2023, 5 years, we still have 15 years left to pay that loan that Mrs. Prasad Bisesa took. You take $7 billion for highway, but you couldn't take $1 billion from the treasury to build the hospital, right? A 20-year loan that this government has to pay back. 20 years. How much interest you going to pay on that? That is Kamlamatics for you. That making sense. But I see somebody on the live talking about something wrong with PNM. Debbie King or something. So Debbie King, you need to check your upstairs. Right? If all the information I just gave you talking about something wrong with the PNM, no, something wrong with you. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir. Good morning.
Morning, sir.
To all the viewers and the listeners of this informative contribution that you always bring every single time. Now, there is nothing much I could add to what Brian and Sister Jenny would have said, right? Because people have to understand that over the last 5 years, 3 months and 14 days from 2010 and 2015, it should never repeat itself in this country ever again, right? Because mantra was what? You remember when they before they asked you, Professor, what was their mantra? We will rise. Yeah. We shall rise. Yeah. So we now see why they was rising. We now see why. And now you're coming 8 years later in 2015, 16, 17 onwards, and say, no, Dr. Rowley wicked. He bad. He don't care about poor people. He this, he that. Dominic, all that money you called in that period, all that money, what they did to benefit the citizens in this country with that money that they spent in that 5 years? Absolutely nothing. All they say, only build box drain. Box drain to go where? To go nowhere? Because just only build box drain, but yet still last year, November into December, real rainfall, and all it was the prime victims of flooding down in the same areas, or they claim, quote unquote, or they build box drains. So you're telling me, Gene Child, that only spent $40 billion plus $1 billion in 5 years with nothing to show in the country, other than you give the media the perception that we did something for our people in Central. Why you left the one in Port of Spain to run down, the one in Mount Hope to run down, and the claiming that they build the one in Arima, and the one in Point Fortin, and the one in Scarborough. Right? So we don't understand these people, they are not for country, they always was for their party and their people. You cannot be a prime minister for a cosmopolitan country and expect that on the platform, the amount of violent, racist comments against a particular group in this country. So, all right, Dominic, let me ask that question. If you as a prime minister going out to represent that country, you're representing the Indo-Trinidadians alone, or your base, you're representing the 1.5 million of us outside it. But Kamala don't have that tenacity to represent none of us in this country. Right? She have none. She have no moral authority to talk about any inheritance tax, no property tax, nothing about the sort. Because you all have the country in this mess today. I don't come in to come and tell me in my face that the prime minister want to give me impose 25% inheritance tax. All you're fooling. There's always say, or you fool some people some of the time, but not all the people all the time. You understand? But as this one from Sabah say, my brother, he said they love money, but they're afraid jail.
Yes.
You understand? Guys, 2023 local election is August 14th. All you go out and do your civic duty. Treat this election as a general, because these people coming out with a vengeance, you know. You understand? Come out and vote, and on Sunday, we always see the all candidates and do.
Thank you, sir. Get this here. Let's see. Alrighty, let me just connect this here. Right, just give me 1 second, folks. Let me just get this here. Mr. Yates, good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I have two quick things to say this morning.
Go right ahead.
One. If you have 100 black people going across and giving their voting support to the UNC to help UNC to win an election, if you get 1/10 of that from the Indian community coming across to the PNM to help PNM win an election, you might as well take your whole salary and try to bribe your way into heaven, because you're not going to get that. They will never do for us what so many of us are prepared to do for them. And that, to me, is one of the saddest commentaries in the history of this country. And those who are prepared to bury their heads in the sand and ignore it, well, fine. But that is the acid truth about politics in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
Where are the black intellectuals in Trinidad? Where are the Bucarenis? Where are the Theodore Lewises? Where are all of these fellas? Where are these fellas? Not a word. They are so consumed, to buttress my point, they are so consumed with hatred for Dr. Rowley and professional jealousy too,
Yes.
that they wouldn't say a word to help PNM's cause and remind us of the thievery which is congenital with the UNC. Not a word from any of them. Not a word from any of them. When every Sunday, the UNC Ralph Maraj has made a career of licking up Dr. Rowley and his other ministers, but specifically focusing on Dr. Rowley as the Digo Martin dinosaur. None of the black intellectuals in this country have one damn word to say about that. And secondly, and finally, you have a situation where for 3 weeks, Fally Augustine had nothing to say. He comes out and delivers his pantomime last Friday. And the first thing that comes out of the UNC, which is their first and only comment,
yes,
is that the police, rather than investigating the absurdity of what has been going on in Tobago with Augustine and his band of brigands, they are latching on to the fact that the police should investigate the claims by Augustine of extortion by PNM ministers and PNM businessmen in Tobago. You see? So they have nothing to say about the fact that this man is planning to use, which is as good as doing it, planning to use taxpayers' money allocated to Tobago from the budget, to pay propagandists. Wade Mark and his band of wretches have nothing to say about that. But they're talking about Fally's very laughable claims of extortion. That is all I have to say this morning. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much for your contribution, sir. All right. Let me see this here. So, one sec. Snow morning. Let me see who. Hi, Carol. One sec. Yes, Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, I left off yesterday. So this thing that PNM did.
Yes.
Up interchange. Point Forte Hospital. Arima Hospital.
Yes.
Hospital in Tobago.
Roxborough.
And the Diego Martin, I think it was just a health center. It was a health center.
Yes.
Sandy Grande, Port of Spain under construction. They also invested in the homestead program. And they have completed 1 year and there's 1 more year to go with it.
Yes.
Plus they get the 20,000 startup agriculture. So food in the country.
Correct.
They bought boats. A cargo ship.
Yes.
There was a bridge they built down in the west.
Right. There's
from where to where.
There's the Diego Martin interchange.
They did that.
Yes.
Opening the youth camp that was closed. You remember Presto, Chatham?
Yes.
These camps. They are now rebuilding and opening under the UNC, under the PNM. Dr. Rosie also bought an expensive cancer treatment machine.
84 million.
In St. James.
84 million.
Yes, it was in St. James, not Diego Martin. And a little correction, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
he spent money on that.
There's a health center in Diego Martin.
What they also did is the girls that left the orphanage at 18, where they are staying now, the reformation built over, that it could be there for 3 years so they can get their life started.
Yes.
Because before they just left the orphanage at 18 and whatever. Now there's a place to go.
Yes.
So all these things, swimming pools in all the different areas. Some people go, why they build a swimming pool in these areas? You may get a diamond out of the rough. Who could carry the mantra for Trinidad and say, listen, I will have to make the goal. And then from Lavantine, move La Coqueta, three swimming pools. So we have all these things going on. The opposite Largo Stadium, there were houses there that remained there for 5 years, 4 months, and I think 13 days.
Yes.
That PLM started out, UNC left doubt. And everything from that could move was stolen out of that those buildings.
Yes.
PNM came, they fixed it over, and it is now occupied. So people start saying that what PNM did with the money, but they literally had they did plenty. And not that person in Trinidad ever staffed it. Or they did grab, they did this. Nobody ever staffed it. After that, that is one thing in Trinidad. And they have money because things, dirty, bacchanal, road, everything being sold out. So who's starving?
Yes.
Who's starving? You know what I mean? Yes, in every country there's always the poor people among us. But we help one another. So all these things that I list out here, and I did some yesterday,
right.
people just there so that when UNC personally asks all parents to do any nothing. Just all these things that was done and being done because we still have what has been under construction. We still have things going on.
Correct.
And they also train people, the young people into using heavy equipment. That program went on, I don't know for how long, but that was supposed something they did for the young people.
Right.
So I'm waiting. I'm not sure when Presto, etc. will be open. You have any insights into that?
I will inquire into it.
Pardon?
I will inquire into it.
Okay, Dominic, thanks. Have a good day.
You too. See here. Hello, what's going on? Just now, give me 1 sec, folks. Hello, good morning.
Dominic, good morning.
Leave it there, morning.
You're laughing to hear my voice.
Morning, sir.
I just going to tell you, I'm headed home Saturday, please, God.
You're headed home where? To Trinidad?
So I hope I can get to meet you when I get home.
Well, that's no problem. Yeah, we can do that. I hear last time you live with Bruce.
I hear you hanging in one Alexander place, and that's too high for me.
Come true.
But I will try and get in touch with you.
All right.
All right, my brother.
Yes, sir.
I'll leave it there.
All righty. Hello.
Lucky sister, when we get from the point across this, we'll be running back into the land. Yes, Dominic. I don't know if you could probably put all the breakdown of all the figures that you would have given on today's program now, right? And next thing too, people on the live was wondering like if you could like have slideshows to really give people a more comprehensive. Because most people wouldn't really understand. Some will know, and some will have a sort of a understanding. But most people not really financially inclinated. So they wouldn't really understand the breakdown then.
Right.
By even though you would have said it, people will have a comprehensive look at our view that all right, well, in 2010 they spent X, Y, and Z, and revenue was X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So people will have an understanding. But as I say, that's just my take on it because people was asking. I think I probably put the money on the page or if you could probably have the slideshows in between.
All right.
Understand?
All right, no problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so I'm done.
All righty. Seven 1763. See here. So remember on Sunday, folks, that PNM is having a special convention at the Queen's Park Savannah. Presentation of candidates. And I'm sure Dr. Rowley will have a mouthful for us on Sunday as well. Even as somebody had mentioned about Farley, the issue of this Chanel, and Chanel getting a work for $15,000, and they want to know if this is the same Chanel who took him to court. Again, he has gone back into hibernation. All right. So let me get this here. Let me see this here. That's not. Hold on, Carol. Hold on. All right. we have another connection issue here. So, I just have another connection issue here, Carol. One sec. Don't know what happened there. You still there, Carol? Yeah, it not coming through the device here. Just trying to change this thing here. Let's see. Technology boy. Oh boy. Right. Yeah, go ahead. Yes, Carol, go ahead.
Okay, what I'm saying is that the guy just spoke and said we should do a slide, but I think it's better to print it on the page so that I myself can print it, do a hard copy, so that I can have it and read it over and review it. And even when somebody on the opposite side comes to debate, you have the facts there, hard copy. All right. So we slide, because sometimes you know, okay, you'll just go and you won't be able to show it. But if you have printed it, you have it in hand.
Okay.
Okay.
Will do.
Thanks.
I will do that. Will do. Yeah, people want the information. Well, all right, no problem. I will post that up, as well as when I revisit the UNC's manifesto slides with the nonsense that they propose. And as I said, it's a lot we have to get into, but they want to treat this as a general election, no problem, we can do that. We will interrogate your policies that you're so proud of. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good
morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the education that you give us this morning, because why does it? I think a lot of your stuff at times I just over it now, because I had to deal with some people in these places. If you listen to them, oh God, logically they don't make sense at all.
Yes.
But I don't know, something really does be wrong with them. Them just come with all kind of, UNC people. I don't know how they say that, right? They'll say that's how they are, but I never see so much false papers. We know that part. And plus, listen to them logically. They don't have no logic. They don't, according to you on this part, they just say donkey logic, right?
Yes.
Because look at this. I mean, here I just tell them like something I always tell them. If Patrick Mann leaves the debt at $10 billion, you come in and you had the most amount of money ever in the energy sector, right? You get all these taxes. And when you leave the debt at $33 billion. That means you get $23 billion as you say this morning. Now tell me what and then you still done NGT money.
Correct.
But the thing about it, you see, people doesn't, when you talk to them with that, I tell them, this is a rocket science to understand that. It's simple thing to understand.
Yes.
Because we shouldn't be all that when you leave, we should have a whole set of money there still, because and then you've done NGC money every way to get money, you think. Because according to the saying, as they say, a thief and you borrow to thief. Now, how could people justify things like that and tell me that this was the best? Kingsley and them have to be going mad. Kingsley and the next one they call Kunji. Something wrong with the brain. Because I mean, oh God, even Tobagonians too. You know it has Tobagonians shouting for Kamala to come back in power. Yes, and how she treats Tobago. Well, something really wrong with Dr. Rowley and calling him, but I'm really, really brilliant. We didn't go to the IMF. Barbados went to the IMF 3 times or 2 times. Now tell me something, things like this. Or that Prime Minister that go to the IMF, they will not look to work it out like that. And we should be thankful for a Prime Minister like Dr. Rowley. You understand? And calling him, putting him the head on. You understand? Imagine you leave a tax break to the oil industry and leave Dr. Rowley and they want to see about that. And you could tell me you like these people. These people would know nothing about it. All the poor that they just talk about the money. And this Hamburg and the poor from surviving, what them do? They policies. And you're going to tell people you so want like the poor, but the poor just take them thing and believe them with the stupidness, because you know why? It's a little hard times now because they leave it hard and plus oil price drop.
Yes.
There's 2 things about it, you know. You have the the oil price part where it went down, and then have the UNC with the eat up the treasury, everything. Imagine you eat up, oh God, and I always say she can't give a comfort over $26 billion. But you show me this today, and I will try and Google it too from the central bank.
Yes.
That in 1 year, Kamala get more money than Dr. Rowley and them in 5 years. That's it. And I mean, that should be something that people should understand. Thank you, Dominic, for allowing me this contribution. I'll listen off here. Thanks again. I want to say thank you. Take care and listen off.
You too. Thanks. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Dominic. Thank God for you. I keep praying that you will go from strength to strength.
Thank you.
Because if you don't come out here and give us the facts, I am continuously harping and harping on the PNM not doing a pretty good job with their PR. Dominic, I'm fed up talking, I'm fed up calling. Everybody is not techno savvy.
Yes.
So you can't put everything just on a page on the phone. The phone is more the youths and their years, but older people want to get information. The information is not reaching us out there. I have people even away where I will tell them, go up on the website, listen to Dominic, listen to Sister Jenny, try to tune in to love on these people. If you all are not there, I don't know what will happen. And somehow PNM not getting the message. Column Imbert came out and spoke about there is nothing like an inheritance tax or whatever. But you are seeing on every clip on the UNC where Kamala have it as a slideshow that the inheritance tax people will do. They bombard the airways, the TV, the everything with their false information. And PNM is not now, call member debunk it, yes. But I'm saying we also have to have and tap on what is happening.
Yes.
We have a big project going on with the road in Gasparilla here. When it was done, Big Head Anita was busy all over the place fighting for the landslip to fix. You know the landslip thing. And I'm talking about serious work went on. You ain't hearing nobody saying the landslip fix. You ain't hearing nobody coming out and saying anything. So I'm appealing now to you and Carol and to all of us on the line. Althea, Annette, Moses, all who on the line. See them, everybody. We need to compile all the work PNM has done since under Dr. Rowley when they came back in. I am saying compile, and the young people should be able to have that as some sort of slideshow, something, TTT live. We own part of TTT. Why we not doing the putting it all over? People need to see and hear, and we are falling short in that machinery and in that PR section.
Correct.
So Dominic, thank you for all what you are doing for us. And please put that information that you gave out this morning. Help us to get it somewhere. Thanks, Dominic.
Will do. Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no, Dominic. Here's what you're to do, right? I know you just follow up. Now, this is my suggestion, and you probably don't have to advise with it. If you do have problems with the social media officer, the PNM, and you have issues with things, I think this is my opinion. Take my simple advice. If you can collaborate with Ms. Rhoda Barrett, because I believe that she have a wider audience, particularly when she has a program or podcast on Sundays, if we could pass on information to her too.
Yes.
Maybe that will probably reach the larger masses as well, because basically she's like an influencer as well, you know.
Yeah, well, I saw this morning,
right?
she's actually sharing our page, the information on our page. I just saw she shared something that we put out.
Yeah, and see that information there with Ms. Kamala Pasabi was asking this question and passing on the information to Ms. Barrett as well, because I think we need to have a massive education with the masses, like somebody like Eric say.
Yes.
A lot of people not really financially someone asks anybody, they don't know the difference between revenues and expenditure, and but people don't know how the government get revenue.
Yes.
But people believe the lie that the government have money to pay public servant workers. They just don't care where the government gets the revenue from. And this lie with the inheritance tax, that is very dangerous. This is Cambridge Analytica all over again. The playbook from Cambridge Analytica, it is obvious, it is blatant.
Yes.
And hopefully you could dispel the rumors with this LGBTQ, because people are saying that the government is introducing this alternative lifestyle, which is not true at all. I believe that it started with a rainbow march some few years back, and the bringing in of this this person, courtesy of the UNC as a temporary government, as a temporary opposition senator. And I suppose people can't remember that. And there was silence from certain religious bodies. Nobody didn't talk about it.
Yes.
But the opposition bringing that individual who was a trans. And people not talking about it. So Dominic, you have a lot of work to do, and all I can tell is just collaborate with Ms. Barrett. Have a good day.
You too. Mr. Chance, call me back. Yeah, let me see here. So Mr. Chance. Mr. Chance. Right. Get this here. So it's almost 9 o'clock. Yeah, so I'll see how I can organize to get the slides onto the Facebook page debunking UNC lies with facts. And they have no response when you give them the facts. They have no response. One of them has engaged me yesterday, and only talking about his he's wealthy and he's so affluent, and I live in a shack and my HTC house, and all kind of nonsense, and his dog kennel probably bigger than my house, and all kind of shop it up. Right? Dismiss that nonsense, yes? They're on foolishness. But anyway, let's see. Let me see some of the things we have here. Right. Somebody saying not only UNC but Mariano Brown is criticizing the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley and the PNM like he drinking what Sushila Kamla and UNC juice. We have over here. Get this here. See. Mr. Chance, good morning.
Yes, you're still on air, Dominic?
Yes, I am.
Right, great. I was trying to the program is, I like what is happening, the intensity, the level of conversation, the quality conversation. I too want to join in and compliment you on the very instructive information you gave.
Yes.
But I want the people to understand this very simply. Now, the point you are making is a very important point, and that, in my humble opinion, that is the message you have to take away from this. That Trinidad and Tobago does not run on air. It runs on money. You have to have money, and you have to manage that money well, not so Dominic.
Correct.
Brian made the point. If you do not, that goes to the pensioner. You get a disability grant.
Yes.
People who work in CPEP, you work in people, you work in URP. They may feel, no, that is important. I'll tell you why it is important. Because if you do not manage your money well, Brian made the point, there's a place called the IMF. And when the IMF comes in, all the people who are getting grants and people who are not part of the productive element of the society will suffer consequences. Say we'll get a cut in your old age pension, in a disability grant. There will be nothing like the CPF and URP, because those are the consequences you get when you not manage your money well. It's just like in your house. If you don't manage your money in your house, you lose your mortgage, you lose your house. And that is the type of leadership you're getting from Dr. Rowley and Mr. Imbert, managing the money. So while it is important to have the data there, the lesson must be important. And I am humbly suggesting that the lesson is that to manage the money well. And Dr. Rowley and Mr. Imbert have demonstrated how they're managing money well. They have stayed away from the IMF. Jamaica and Barbados are in the cloud of the IMF. Sri Lanka, many countries are falling there. I have a nephew from Canada, and he tells me that Canada is in a recession. He says, Uncle, people complain about price and different quality of life. In Canada, it's the same thing. That is the reason why President Trudeau invited 30 other countries to come in and work and help build back the economy. So we must understand that information Dominic is giving is very important. And why the data, the numbers important, the message in it is that we have to have a government that will manage. And I'll close by telling you this. Remember, in the local government reform, each one of their corporations have to manage the money. Remember that?
Yes.
That's part of the local government reform. They will get money, they'll get taxes to manage it. Do you want that to happen like what happened in the last 3 years? Where you have thieving in most of the regional corporations, bribery and thieving, Sandy Gandhi, Princess Town, all over the place.
Yes.
All of, do you want that? No, you don't. So you want to put a leader like Dr. Rowley, and you want to put a minister who manages the finance properly. So I thought I would just come in with this. Thank you very much for that good work you're doing, Dominic. And I agree, you can put it up on the page so we can thread it and go through it and link it. But do not forget the message in it. The message is how Dr. Rowley and Mr. Imwood is managing the money that we have. Thank you very kindly, sir.
Thank you, sir. Right, so it is now 9 o'clock, folks. Let me thank you for joining me this morning. I trust that the information provided you all will be able to take it. I will endeavor today to post it up on the page, if not by tomorrow. So Kamala say when her people come by you to ask them how they did it, I told you how they did it. And we are still paying the price today for how they did it in terms of billions of dollars having to be spent every year in interest for all of these loans and overdrafts that they put us in. That loan for the hospital, payment started in 2018, 20-year loan, only 5 years gone. So we still have 15 more years to pay for that. So even long after Dr. Rowley gone and she gone, loan still paying for that hospital. Yeah? All them billions I read out there for you, they take loan for that. The $7 billion that they took from the treasury for the highway to pay people for land that they didn't need, and to thief, the $1 billion that they wanted to give to OAS when they removed the contract, they could have used that to build the hospital and we wouldn't have a 20-year loan to be paying today and all that interest. But the supporters aren't ready for that conversation. No, all they want to talk about, Rowley's a racist, and Rowley's a pedophile, and Rowley this, and Rowley that, and Rowley don't like people, and Rowley mother so and so, all that kind of dotish talk, like this clown that I paid for Anil Amit Mahabir, whatever the heck his name is. Yeah? But you possibly you're gonna cost the UNC they may no longer Jagriti may no longer carry all your program, but they're damn good for you. They want to be disrespectful, but go ahead. Continue to be disrespectful. You don't care about the people license, so they realize the UNC forget that. Forget that. Because the sponsors and the advertisers complaining about the quality of programming that Jagriti is putting out when they publish on these UNC meetings, right? So let's remember, let them know in 1 year, they made more money in oil revenue, oil tax money in 1 year than Keith Rowley made in 5. In each year that they were in office. In the 5 years that Keith Rowley was there, when you add up the money that he got, tax on the oil sector for that 5 years, because of what they did, they put things in place to ensure no tax revenue to be paid on the oil sector until 2024. Keith Rowley had to come and see what little bit he could get. So in 5 years, what he got in 5 years, they got in 1. So when she asked how they did it, that's how they did it. So they put things in place to hamstring how much money this Rowley administration could get to be able to deliver to you. So when it is that you're driving on the road and your car getting mashed up on the road in a bad state, understand the precarious position of the government in. $5 billion a year in interest. $5 billion. 10% of the annual budget going into paying interest on loans and overdraft. You know how much road that could pave? You know how many roads that could pave? Plenty. But instead, the government had a budget every year. That had to pay loan. That had to pay loan interest. Just the interest, not the principal. When that gone, it gone. It cannot come back there. That is why the roads in the state that it is in. Because the government had to be spending precious dollars that they don't have on foolishness because of what the PP put us in. But the supporters are ready for that conversation. Yeah? All look at talk is a pack of nonsense about how much money they have and who do house bigger. Well, good for you. I'm happy for you, papi. You all that money? Yeah. How it helping you? You are there and leave it. Get the government some to pave the road now. Folks, enjoy the rest of your day.
God's willing, we will chat on Sunday morning. I'll let you all know if I'm starting at 10 or 11 because I know some people would want to head down to the Queen's Park Savannah for the special convention. It did come at short notice, but hey, par for the course. Yes, so we will chat again on Sunday, God's willing. So enjoy the rest of your day. Tomorrow, Saturday, and then Sunday, we will chat again, and I'll try to put up that information for you guys so that you could share it and educate the UNC masses. Yeah? So I'm out for today.